Hello everybody, welcome once again to FNN, Freedom News Nation. Today we are once again going to talk about the knucklehead American president who has gone to Saudi Arabia, where there is an absolute monarchy. It's something I bet George Bush is jealous of. You don't see him wanting to bomb them into democracy. No freedom on the march there, you imbeciles. Do you wonder why he goes there, Americans? I tell you, he goes there to sell them weapons, you imbeciles. Have you Americans no shame? Do you only care about your favorite boob-tube characters, your American Idol, Do you not realize that it was this knucklehead president of yours that sold you on the 9/11 story, that there were 15 Saudis on these hijacked planes, Saudis, not Iraqis, And yet he sells you boob-tube, brain-dead, bone-headed Americans on going to war with Iraq, a country that had absolutely nothing to do with the 9/11 tragedy, And now you imbeciles stand idly by while your president goes to Saudi Arabia and sells them $120 million worth of high-tech, so-called smart bomb weapon technology as part of a, get this, $20 billion arms package, So let me get this straight, because I'm no rocket scientist, You attack and occupy a country that never attacked you, And you sell weapons to the country that did. And you idiots are still waving your flag, Watching your idiot box, playing your brain-dead violent video games, and watching your steroid-filled sports heroes, And yet you are so arrogant and think you're so special, Not to the rest of the world, The rest of the world is in hysterics at how ridiculous you are, Yet unfortunately, we are also frightened for our very lives because your fear mixed with your superior attitude, and your ignorance towards everyone has created this so-called war on terror, When will it ever end, How does a war on terror end when all the war does is create more so-called terrorists? You morons, God only knows where all this will lead, I know. I will call Tony the time traveler, Excuse me while I go get the special phone Tony has given me, Give me the phone, will you? Give me that thing. And I got this phone. It's a crazy phone over here, Tony the time traveler. He takes a regular phone. He makes it so you can call different dimensions, We've never used it. Let's see if it works. He says it's voice activated. Let's see, Tony, the time traveler, Let me just see. Hello, Tony. I can't believe it works. It's Frenchie from FNN calling you, I'm doing fine, Tony. How are you? You're kidding. Queen Nefertiti? Oh my God, you're kidding. Really, she knows how to do that with her tongue, Oh, really? Oh my God, and she rubs the oil all over it, Tony, I'm on the air here. You need to do me a favor, You need to, Tony! I thought you were about to,
Already did it, Frenchie. She loved it.
You're kidding.
No, and it was great.
You really are amazing, Tony.
So what's up, Frenchie? You want me to look into the outcome of Bush's bogus war on terror?
How did you know, Oh yeah, you're a time traveler, you already visit the past, you watch the show, you know what I'm going to say, so you come back. I don't know what it means,
Exactly. You're catching on, Frenchie.
I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about, Tony. Anyway, can you do that, Tony?
Already done, Frenchie.
I'm never going to get used to this, So tell us, Tony, what did you find out,
You sure you want to know?
Uh-oh. Why, Tony? Is it bad news?
Well, it could be. Nothing's written in stone until it's actually written in stone.
Whatever that means, Tony. Anyway, the audience is all yours, I'm gonna go, there's a cute little intern over there I'm gonna go talk to, My Shelly.
And he calls me wacko. Anyway, hello everyone. Let me tell you all about the cost of the war in Iraq. And the war on terror in general. And I'm not just talking about the monetary cost or the body count, but what the cost will be for future generations. Now, for anyone out there that never met me, My name's Anthony and I'm a time traveler. Or as Frenchie likes to call me, Tony the Time Traveler. It is kind of catchy. Anyway, I traveled into the future timeline to view the outcome of the war, and it wasn't pretty, people. Let me explain. The war will drag on in some form or another for over a decade. The number of people killed or wounded will be in the tens of millions. The new enemies the US will create, and I don't mean just radical extremists, I mean ordinary people that saw their loved ones, including women and children, people, killed or maimed, some right before their very eyes, have sworn revenge against the US, or as they see it, the great Satan that rains down death and destruction on poor innocent people in the name of freedom, God, and a nebulous war on terror, punishing the many for the deeds of a few, who in reality were just pawns manipulated by the very same people that claim freedom is on the march. The number of these newly created enemies will be in the tens of thousands, people. So it's a war that really has no end, because it just kept creating more and more so-called terrorists. Eventually they attacked again inside the US, crippling the economy and instilling so much fear that the military is given control of the government under the understanding that it would be temporary. It wasn't. Once the military seized control, they changed the rules and didn't give up power. They suspended the Constitution, enforced martial law, and removed most civil liberties. Anyone even minutely expressing any dissidence was forcibly removed from their homes with bogus charges, branded enemies of the state, and were placed in internment camps. I don't just mean a few people. I'm talking about millions of Americans, people. Millions. But most people went along with it because they kept watching the corporate-controlled news like Fox that made it sound as if everything was all right. The military eventually used new bioweapons targeting specific genotypes, which wiped out most of certain races, with the remainder placed in camps to be used as slave labor. China and what remained of the Arab Emirates aligned and made huge strides in acquiring chemical and thermonuclear weapons. They used them on some major European and American cities. Millions died, and millions more became seriously ill. The strain on the medical industry was too much. The sick were rounded up with the promise of being taken to medical facilities, only to be executed or used as slave labor by the corporate military-industrial complex. The people were unaware because they were too brainwashed to care by the TV, video games, and the chemicals that had been released into the atmosphere, not to mention it put into the genetically engineered food. Frequencies were also being sent out through the airwaves through cell phone towers and satellites so that people were docile and complied to all the talking heads on the TV and the new corporate-controlled internet. No one questioned anything. They just wanted to know who the next global idol would be. This worked all over the world, in all major cities. The so-called democracy that was being spread was actually a corporatocracy that just wanted everyone to comply and consume. People were quick to keep their mouths shut and do as they were told. No one questioned anything. They didn't question that suddenly anyone over 65 started disappearing. Because if you questioned, you disappeared also. And like in Soylent Green, they would make nutritional cream-filled wafer bars with these people 65 and over. They made it to feed the new consumer base of East and West Asia. Anyway, I hope you get the picture of where this war on terror took us. But I want to say that it doesn't have to be that way, people. That's just one possible timeline for the outcome of our actions now. We could change the outcome by changing the course we are on. We could stand up and say no to the corporate giants that dictate policy by buying the politicians. We can change the world, people. We need to let go of the fear that's been our motivation and replace it with love and compassion. It's what these reptilian corporations lack. So let's give it to them and break their stranglehold on greed. LOVE, people. As silly and simple as it sounds, it really is the answer. Well, I gotta go now. I gotta get back to Nefertiti. Nefertiti. Oh.